हेलो चेंज मेकर्स। आप सभी का स्वागत है स्टेप हेड के यूट्यूब चैनल में। जैसे कि आप लोगों को पता है कि हमारी वीडियो सीरीज चल रही है फेलोशिप की कहानी फेलो की जुबानी। ये उस एपिसोड का नेक्स्ट पार्ट है। तो आज हमारे साथ एक फेलो है और वो अपनी जर्नी अपनी कहानी हम हमारे साथ बयां करने वाले हैं। उनका नाम है अक्षा अनीस, जो कि दिल्ली की रहने वाली है। उन्होंने इंग्लिश लिटरेचर में बैचलर्स किया हुआ है हंसराज कॉलेज दिल्ली यूनिवर्सिटी से। तो चलिए उनसे बातचीत शुरू करते हैं। हेलो अक्षा,
हाय सरस्वती।
आपका स्वागत है स्टेप हेड के यूट्यूब चैनल में।
Thank you so much for inviting me for this session. I'll be glad to share my knowledge with you guys.
ओके। तो अक्षा हम स्टार्ट करते हैं। सबसे पहले तो ये बताइए कि आपका फेलोशिप जो DARC फेलोशिप है वो ज्वाइन करने का पर्पस क्या है एंड इससे पहले आपका क्या वर्क एक्सपीरियंस रहा।
Okay, so I will just start with my work experience first. Prior to joining DARC, I have worked 4 years in development sector, majorly in research think tanks, policy think tanks, NGOs, and corporates which have worked in social sector. So that has been my experience. Now, if you're asking me what was my motivation in, or what was my purpose, or what did I think before joining for fellowship is, I wanted to build my career in public policy. My career started with communications profile. As I did my masters, it entered into research and policy. So I wanted to further my career in the same domain, but for that I wanted to figure it out whether this is what I want to do in my life. If and specifically in public policy, I wanted to build my career in government advisory and consultancy. So the sole purpose, and I was very clear about joining this fellowship, was to see if this is what I want to do in my life. And I wanted to have a first hand very close experience upon how the policies are formulated and what is the role of government advisory and government consultancy if I take up that future. So yes, that has been my motivation for this fellowship.
ओके, ग्रेट। हम अगर किसी चीज को ज्वाइन करते हैं, किसी जॉब को या फिर फेलोशिप को, तो उसके पीछे का जो मोटिव है क्लियर होना बहुत ज्यादा इम्पोर्टेंट होता है एंड गुड टू नो दैट। तो थोड़ा मतलब अभी ये तो हो गया आपके बारे में। अभी जो ये फेलोशिप है DAR, तो आपके नजरिए से ये फेलोशिप क्या है।
मेरे नजरिए से अगर मैं बोलूं एक नट शेल में, इट वर्क्स ऑन द सेम मॉडल जैसे लैम्प फेलोशिप वर्क करती है, जहाँ पे आप असिस्ट करते हैं लॉ मेकर्स को, पॉलिसी डिजाइनर्स को, पॉलिसी मेकर्स को विद रिसर्च एंड implementation both. So it's a state version, I would say, of LAMP fellowship, but a more diversified, I would say, because you don't only have to do office work, but you also have to do a lot of field work. So yes, that is what I will say. From being a part of policy formulation design to implementation as well, and then analysis like the gap analysis. So the role in DRs is very diversified. Yeah.
ओके, तो एप्लीकेशन पे बात करने से पहले मैं ये जानना चाहूंगी कि इस फेलोशिप के बारे में आपको कहाँ से पता चला।
Okay, to be very honest, I was working with a research think tank in Bangalore when one of my friends, he said, me this opportunity. He said, "Why do you not try this? You always want to develop your career in government consultancy and advisories, and then why do you not try your hand?" I said, "It's a fellowship, yeah." So he said, "Why not? I mean, it's a pilot project, and you really should go and see how it, works out." So yes, I think I'll be grateful to Krishna. He's a friend of mine, very close friend of mine. So yeah, he introduced this opportunity to me. He told me.
ओके ओके, तो अभी आते हैं हम एप्लीकेशन पे। तो हमारे एप्लीकेंट्स को ये जानने में खुशी होगी कि आपके जो एप्लीकेशन की जर्नी थी या फिर अभी जो ऐसे लिखने हैं उनको, तो उसके रिगार्डिंग थोड़ा गाइडेंस करोगे तो।
Okay, so to be very honest, since ours was a pilot batch of DARC, so there was only two levels of the application. One, you apply online, fill the online portal with the essay, right, with the SOP, and then second was the direct interview once they shortlist your CV. So, I mean, marks are given on all the parameters like your education and your experience and your projects that you have taken in the past, and overall the other aspects like how you write your essay. Like any other fellowship or any other job opportunity, they analyze all these aspects, right? They rank you. So after that, there was a list that came out, and they directly called us for the interview, and this interview was held in DTU only. DTU is Delhi Technological University, and since the entire hiring process is taken care by DTU. So in interview there were academicians, and there were people from the policy background who are working very closely with the government. They were the policy makers, or I would say the brain in the government. So there were good people there, and they questions on your there were questions on my work experience or my past experiences. How do I identify myself in the domain of public policy, and what do I want to do with this opportunity, and what I want to do after completing the fellowship. So I would say it was a very comprehensive interview in which you will build on your ideological thought process, on your political thought process, on your social thought process, on your economical thought process. So it was a very enriching interview. I would say it was a really good experience for me, because and it is usually long. It's like 20-25 minutes long interview, and you are questioned on your academics, like why you chose what you choose, why did you do what you do or what you did. So there will be questions on your projects, the projects that you have undertaken. I remember there was this one project I was doing with an RDC, in my last organization before joining Delhi government. So they had couple of questions to me, uh, and so they will question you on the projects and your past experiences. So I think it was a good. And then after interview, of course, if you get shortlisted, you are called for the document verification.
या अच्छा. बट अगर मैं स्पेसिफिकली फोकस करना चाहूँ इससे पार्ट पे, लाइक कि अभी आपके टाइम पे तो इससे वाला कुछ था नहीं, बट अभी अगर कोई एप्लीकेंट अप्लाई कर रहा है, तो अगर उसको इससे के लिए कुछ गाइडेंस चाहिए, तो वो किस थॉट प्रोसेस से, किस माइंडसेट से वो इससे लिखे, और उसके लिए आप क्या टिप्स देना चाहोगे?
ओके, नहीं, ऐसे हमारे टाइम पे भी था. इट वाज अ वेरी डिफाइंड क्वेश्चन वी गॉट, जो एक पेज का लेवल है. व्हेन यू आर आस्क्ड टू डू अ असाइनमेंट, है ना. नाउ यू आर आस्क्ड टू डू एन असाइनमेंट आल्सो आफ्टर गेटिंग शॉर्टलिस्टेड. When you get shortlisted after the online application you submit, then you get a call for the assignment. Okay. So when you submit that assignment, then you get call for interview. So this level where you submit the assignment, that was not there in our batch. Of course, after our batch, the batch that came next, they had this process. So we did have essay, and now talking about the essay, I would say there are two very important aspects to essay, or when you write your SOP. I mean, you can take that essay as an SOP also, and if you want to call it essay, that's your wish. But one thing is, you have to be very clear in your approach as to why you want to do this fellowship. What is there that that makes you go for it? So you have to be very clear in your head that why I want to do this fellowship. Okay, first is that. So we have, and the second part is that becomes very crucial, that how are you a value addition to this fellowship? Because we need to understand that it's not a job opportunity, it's a fellowship. Fellowship is where you learn and you work, right? So for you, for you to work, you have to have a motive as to what I want to achieve by doing this. So that serves the first part. The second part is how do you add value to this fellowship. Now, when you're speaking about how do you add value to the fellowship, you speak about your specific projects, link them with the roles and responsibilities that are there for the fellows to be undertaken when you become a fellow. So you have to be very specific. Do not go generally, oh, I have experience in policy making, I have experience in,
Yeah.
policy implementation. No, try to link what you did. Try, even if it's raw, I would say just be raw. Try to have your own authentic statement that this is why I want to do and this is how I'm going to add value to the fellowship program.
ओके, तो अगर आपको ऐसे लिखना है तो आपके माइंड में क्लैरिटी चाहिए इस बात की कि आप क्यों ज्वाइन करना चाहते हो
Yes.
और इसी सेक्टर में आप क्यों आना चाहते हो, ठीक है।
Yes.
तो और थोड़ा सा इंटरव्यू पे बात करते हैं, जैसे तो आपने पहले भी बता दी, बट अगर कोई सिलेक्ट हो जाता है तो इंटरव्यू के लिए उसने क्या चीजें ध्यान में रखनी चाहिए और कैसे प्रिपरेशन करनी चाहिए?
First, I would say be very clear about your work experience. Be very. I know everyone will be, because you have worked and you will be very clear about what you did. And so one is that to have a very detailed information about your projects, about your past experiences. And second is be very clear. I would say be very clear why you want to do this fellowship. Why are you the best fit for this fellowship? What you will do? What are you planning to do? Have a plan that as a part of a legislative assembly, as a part of policy making organization of one of the capital of India, what do you aspire to do? So you have to be very clear, like what are you trying to achieve in your personal growth and what are you trying to achieve in your professional growth. So that clarity of mind is very important, because unless you will not be clear as to where are you going, where you want to go, it doesn't matter, you do not go in that direction, but you have to have an idea where you want to go. So unless you will not have that clarity, you cannot convince the other person that I am the best fit for this. So like I would say, sit with yourself and you have to make an opinion or have to make a statement like why I want to do this. Just not because I want to get into work with the government, or its name, it's I would say it comes with a lot of I would say not in the sense it comes with a lot of fame or any of that. No, do not do that way. Make sure that you're doing because you are adding value to your professionalism, not you're just not doing for the sake of doing.
ओके, सो एप्लीकेंट्स एक्शन ने अभी जो कुछ भी कहा है वो आप ध्यान में रखना जब आप ऐसे लिखोगे, अप्लाई करोगे या फिर इंटरव्यू के लिए प्रिपेयर करोगे, ठीक है। तो अभी हम आगे बढ़ते हैं। अब उनसे ये जानते हैं कि आपकी एप्लीकेशन तो हो गया, सिलेक्शन भी हो गया, तो उसके बाद तुरंत इमीडिएट मतलब जो सिलेक्शन के बाद की जो जर्नी थी, लाइक आपको कुछ ट्रेनिंग दिया होगा या फिर आपने लोकेशन ज्वाइन की होगी, तो उस टाइम पे एग्जैक्ट क्या प्रोसेस हुआ था और उसके बारे में आपका क्या एक्सपीरियंस?
Okay, so once you get selected, after the interview, the shortlist comes, and so then you are called for document verification, where all the documents will be verified with your original certificate. Then after that, the orientation program begins. So it's an orientation and training program. So what do you expect in an orientation and training program? There will be bureaucrats who will come and talk about their departments. The idea is to familiarize you with the government structure of Delhi, and how the administration structure is, what are the policies that every department has, and how are they planning to implement, what are the feedbacks of the implementation, what are the analysis, who are the beneficiaries, how is this policy impacting people, and making life of people of Delhi good, right? So you will be trained, you will be made, you will be introduced, and you will learn about a lot of initiatives taken by the government that is implemented by different departments. You will learn the hierarchy. You will learn the administrative structure of every department. You will learn about their objectives. Why are they working? What are they working for? What is the impact that they are creating? Now, this training and orientation module is usually a week long,
Mm-hmm.
and this is very important. And why is it
Oh,
important? Maybe I can answer it further into the interview. Then after this orientation program completes, then you are given various attachments basis on your past experiences and your expertise areas. For example, if you have had handled and managed educational projects, you will be attached with the educational background. You have an educational background, you have trained people, you have taken up skill in entrepreneurship projects, then you will be attached with the education department, or or especially you will be given the project that deals with skill and entrepreneurship. So yes, the attachment happens that way, very carefully. And then after the attachments, of course, you are supposed to report to the department or to the MLAs, and then they become your reporting managers, and then you report to them, and then you carry forward work.
ओके। तो जब आपको ट्रेनिंग दिया होगा या फिर इंफॉर्मेशन सारी चीजें होगी, देन उसके बाद जब एक्चुअली आपने वर्क स्टार्ट किया, क्योंकि हम कोई भी नई चीज जब स्टार्ट करते हैं तो हम इनिशियली कुछ चैलेंजेस फेस, तो इस फेलोशिप के ड्यूरेशन में आपने क्या चैलेंजेस फेस किए थे स्टार्टिंग में?
Okay, so I'm sure this will be different for different people, or there have been different challenges for my different fellow colleagues. So, but for me, the challenge was because this was the first time I was dealing very closely with government, right? So I was having the first hand experience in working so closely with the government. So my first challenge was to understand the day-to-day administrative operations and functions of different verticals altogether of the government. So that was one struggle. And second was the working environment of government is way too different from the other development sector institutes. Let me be very clear. I have worked in the development sector and with the corporate sector as well. But then the environment is very different. So that was again one challenge for me. So but then of course it's a beautiful learning. I mean, it was nice. It takes time, but then, you know, altogether it works out for you.
Okay, so Aksa, what is the exact role of a DARC?
Okay, so whenever you join any fellowship, right? So you expect that you will be working for a policy, right? And when I talk about policy, I want to talk about that policy has, you know, um I think very clear verticals, like where you was research, and then there is advocacy and communication, then there is design, then there is implementation, and then there is impact assessment. I can, relate to this five segments. So in DRC fellowship, all these 3 years that I have been here, I have majorly worked on implementation parts of it, and design as well, and research as well. But if you will ask me what are the ratio, what is the ratio you have worked in, so I would say 30% is research and design, and 70% is in implementation. And when I talk about implementation, I'm talking about implementation and identifying the gaps in implementation and design. So that's how it is module, or it is, I would say it's set up. Like that's how if you're a fellow, you will be majorly working on the implementation part, um, identifying ground issues. If you are attached with an MLA, you will be identifying ground issues, and you will be solving them through creative ways of implementing a policy. So what happens is when you analyze a policy, there are very you what you can change at your end, or what impact you can create at your end is, if you think that a policy is not implemented in a right manner, you can make the implementation changes, right? And the second way is the design change, right? So for the design to change or that to happen will take a bit longer time. So what my fellow colleagues have done, they have innovatively come out with ways in implementing a policy better. So I have never been deployed with an MLA before, but fellows who have worked with MLAs and they have worked on ground with constituencies, they have been, they have been doing really well in implementing them. So yes, that is one thing. Yeah. And
Okay.
even if with the department, you will be implementing policies.
Yeah.
You will be going to regional offices, you will be going to schools, you will be going to healthcare centers, mohalla clinics, just to see how the policy is working and what can be improved in the implementation. So yes, there is a mix of office work and field work. So be ready for both of them.
ओके, तो हम उस पे आते हैं, ऑफिस वर्क एंड फील्ड पर। उससे पहले हम ये जानना चाहते हैं आपसे कि एज अ फेलो तो आपका डे फ्लो क्या रहता है? कितने आवर्स आप वर्क करते हो एंड वर्किंग डेज कितने होते हैं एक वीक?
Okay, so officially the working days are, Monday to Friday, because that's how usually the governments work. Yeah, on those governments work. But yes, if there is a requirement, if there is a project requirement, or it's a requirement by the department or by the MLA, then you have to be there on Saturdays and Sundays as well. So there has been Saturdays and there have been Sundays where we have worked, and but that's not like the regular course. Like, it happens when there's a demand and there is a requirement. So the hours are pretty, I would say, fine, very well maintained. You have to report by 9:30, 10, and you will leave by 6. So if you're attached with the department, you'll be working Monday to Friday, throughout these working hours, and then you have your time enough for yourself to do your personal things or to work on yourself. And if you're attached with an MLA, then yes, you have flexible working hours, but usually because the public dealing starts by 9:30, 9 or 10 for the MLAs as well. So you have to be there with them. So yeah, I think I haven't experienced anyone complaining on that aspect, or it's a nice work structure.
ओके, तो अभी आप शेयर कर सकते हो अबाउट द फील्ड विजिट एंड ऑफिस वर्क कि कितना एक वीक में, क्या ये स्पेसिफाई है कि इतना फील्ड विजिट ही करना है या फिर ऑफिस वर्क भी करना है?
नहीं, ऐसे डिफाइन नहीं है कि आपको इतना ऑफिस वर्क करना है, इतना फील्ड वर्क करना है. That totally depends upon the project you are undertaking. Totally depends. There have been days where we have gone 4 days field work, 5 days field work. There have been weeks where we haven't gone even a single day for field work. But one thing that is very essential to DRC fellowship is there will be field work, and so you have to mentally prepare yourself that you will be on the field. Because you will visit regional offices again. That when I told you that you will be, if you're, for example, if you're attached to an education department, right, then maybe you are supposed to visit the school, talk to the stakeholders there, and mohalla clinic, see how you can design the locations of mohalla clinics. And so yes, there will be frequent field visit, because see, at the end of the day, I'll come back to the same point. What you are going to do more in the DRC fellowship, you will be going to like look after the implementation part. So for the implementation part to happen, you cannot do it without field work. So the field work is very crucial in the fellowship. But yes, I will not say that it's very hectic. It does get sometimes, but that's a part and parcel of your professional experience. It happens wherever you join, wherever you work.
यस, अच्छा। तो ये तो हुआ, बट उसके साथ जैसे कि आपने बोला कि फील्ड वर्क है, बाकी चीजें हैं, तो कौन कौन से स्टेक होल्डर के साथ आप काम करते हैं?
The major stakeholder is the government, of course, no doubt in that. And other than the government, what are the external stakeholders? There are internal stakeholders, of course, it falls under the category of the government structure. And then there are external stakeholders, which are your partnering organizations, right? For example, NGOs you're working with, or some corporate organizations you're working with, or the institutes who are a part of your policy, research think tanks, right? So these, they all are the stakeholders of it. So it totally depends upon project to project. Every project you will have different set of stakeholders to deal with. So they are both internal and external, because to get the administrative work done at the office end, you have internal stakeholders, and to go out and reach out and see the implementation and how the public is responding to a policy. You have to deal with the external stakeholders, and a very important part of external stakeholders are people, the public.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, you are dealing with a social policy, right? You are working in a public policy domain, so people and public become very important stakeholders. And also, I need you to understand that you are working as a bridge between the people, the implementation, where the implementation is
Yes.
happening and its design, right? So implementation aspect, a very important aspect is the public, right? So for you to understand how to better implement a policy or analyze the implementation part or do a good implementation, even if you have to understand what are people, understanding, what are they feeling, how are they taking the policy, what are the challenges they are facing. So you need to understand them in order for it, a policy for it to be better, uh, better workout. Yeah.
ओके, तो अक्सा हमारे साथ यूट्यूब लाइव पे कुछ एस्पिरेंट जुड़े हुए हैं, तो उनके साइड से ये क्वेश्चन है कि जो जिन पर्सन्स को या फिर जिन एप्लीकेंट्स को प्रायर एक्सपीरियंस है, वर्क एक्सपीरियंस, तो उनको ज्यादा बेनिफिट मिलता है क्या सिलेक्शन के टाइम पे, या फिर प्रेफरेंस उनको दिया जाता हो?
Experience, yes, it is given weightage. A professional will always be given a weightage, but it depends upon what experience do you have. So it depends upon the projects that you have handled in the past. So if they really resonate closely with what work you're gonna do in the fellowship, then yes, you will be given weightage.
Okay,
I am not too sure because I have not been in the process of, like, I have not been on the other side, never been there. So, but as I can, I can just speak from my experience, because fellows that are with me, my co-working people, they are amazing people. So yes, I mean, they have handled amazing projects. They come with amazing background. There is so much learning from them. I have literally learned a lot from my fellows, or the pure learning is very, very crucial to the RC
या
fellowship.
अच्छा, यस।
Yeah.
तो
So
जो लोग हमारे साथ यूट्यूब लाइव पे जुड़े हुए हैं उनको मैं रिक्वेस्ट करती हूँ कि आप, अगर आपके साइड से कुछ क्वेश्चंस हैं तो आप पूछ सकते हो। तो और एक नेक्स्ट क्वेश्चन हमारे पास आया है अक्सर कि मतलब जो शॉर्ट लिस्टेड का क्राइटेरिया है उसके रिगार्डिंग आप अगर कुछ बताना चाहो।
sorry, I couldn't hear you, Saraswati.
ओके, 1 मिनट। अभी आवाज आ रही है सही से?
हाँ हाँ।
या तो हमारे पास एक नेक्स्ट क्वेश्चन आया है कि जो एप्लीकेंट है जो अप्लाई करते हैं फेलोशिप के लिए, तो उनको शॉर्ट लिस्ट करने का क्या क्राइटेरिया है, उसके बारे में कुछ आपको पता हो तो?
No, I have absolutely no idea on that.
Yeah.
But definitely every aspect is taken care and ranked. I would say your academic qualification, your work experience, and your essay becomes a very crucial to your selection process. This is far I know about the selection process, but and all the weightage, what all does have it. But I don't know the exact, to be honest. I don't know what exact do they look for, I would say.
ओके ओके ओके। एंड व्हाट फॉर द फ्रेशर्स, लाइक कुछ एप्लीकेंट्स है, जैसे हमने अभी वर्क एक्सपीरियंस के बारे में भी बोला कि जो टोटली फ्रेशर है, आपके साथ भी आपके कुछ को फेलोज होंगे, तो अगर उस टॉपिक पे आप बात करना चाहो तो जो लोग फ्रेशर है जो अप्लाई करना चाहते हैं या फिर जिन्होंने अप्लाई किया है उनके लिए थोड़ा बेनिफिट हो।
Yes, yes, definitely like it's not like that they only hire professionals or who have work experience. No, if you are freshers but you have undertaken voluntary experiences that are very crucial to this role, then they select you. There are people in DRC Fellowship who are freshers, and but they have done voluntary work, like amazing voluntary work they have done. So it totally depends upon what kind of projects have you undertaken in your voluntary experience. So in cases where a person is a fresher, the voluntary experience becomes very crucial and important, along of course along with the academic background you have. Right. If you have done it from a good institute and if you have really done a good cause and with so and so voluntary experience, then why not? Yeah.
ओके, तो अभी तक की जो फेलोशिप की जर्नी रही है आपकी, अब तक आपको क्या लगता है कि ऐसा कौन सा काम है जो आपको बहुत ज्यादा इंटरेस्टिंग लगता है एंड ऐसा कौन सा टास्क है जो बहुत चैलेंजिंग लगता है?
Okay, so I think here we are talking about. For me, it's complementary. For me, if it is challenging, it becomes interesting, and if it's not challenging, it is not interesting for me. So I will talk about this. The time at the times where it was challenging and interesting both. So I would like to mention my project during the COVID time. So I was attached with Central Delhi District to look after the implementation of the COVID policy and majorly to look after the data management, the COVID patient data management, and the hunger relief places, which were our schools that were serving the food, that were serving food to the uh, people who are, you know, the abandoned people or people who are not able to make the rickshaw pullers and all of those people. So one, it was difficult to do field work around that time because there was so much fear of, you know, catching this virus all the time. And second, it was you know, it was very difficult to, you know, when you want to convey that, you know, we need to implement this, we need to follow this, but then it becomes very difficult to convey because you are just, you know, the communication became a bit challenge for me. And I was very new to the fellowship. This is 2020, I'm talking about March April 2020. I was in September October 2019, I joined the RC.
Yes.
So it became very difficult for me to get into the system of the district magistrate and
Yeah,
to,
I
you
can
know,
understand.
yeah, to blend myself in the process and to make sure that I'm not any external person. And so this again, there were fellows who were doing amazingly well in that part because they have had experience of working with the bureaucrats and government officials. For me, it was a challenge. That was something new I was doing. Okay, how to mitigate, how to, you know, get blended, how to get the work done, and how to work myself, and how to be a value addition to the team. The major struggle was how to be a value addition to the team because they are people, their team of district magistrates, they are already know what they're doing, right? So how can I be a value addition to them? How can I serve people? So that, yes, that was a very interesting and challenging project
Yeah.
that I have had, and it went for a year long. But then I think initially I faced a lot of challenges, but then I think then, you know, with flow it happened and everything then just went
ओके,
good.
अभी एप्लीकेंट से और एक क्वेश्चन आया है,
Yeah.
जो एस्पिरेंट्स हमारे साथ जुड़े हुए हैं। वो ये जानना चाहते हैं कि इस फेलोशिप में दिल्ली असेंबली का क्या रोल होता है?
Okay, so Delhi Assembly has a very, very crucial role to play in this fellowship. They are going to be a parent organization, first of all. Delhi Assembly Research Center is a center of Delhi Legislative Assembly. So, yes, initially I was attached with Delhi Legislative Assembly only. And there you work majorly on the committee, on the legislative committee. So, and I am assuming that people or the people who are attending this session, they know good about who are legislative assembly. Sorry,
Mhm.
who are legislative committee? What do they do? So they look after the implementation of the policy. So they are the watchdog on the executive branch, the legislative branch is. So the committee system is the backbone of the legislative assembly. So there you research, there you read on a lot of research papers, you write yourself, you work a lot, you do a lot of background work for the committee meetings that happen. So you are doing a lot of research for the meeting whenever they happen, whatever data you get from different departments, how they are implementing the policies, you read, you develop your own paper on that, then you present them. So it's a very quality work that you do. So people who are majorly wanting to work on the research vertical of the policy, then it's the legislative committees. So you will be working on a lot of policies, and you will be researching about them, writing about them. I also have got opportunity to publish paper with the Delhi Legislative Assembly. I have you also published reports of the committees as well, and they are tabled in the house when it's in session. So yes, it's a very
Important
profound
work.
work, I would say. Yeah.
Okay, so come to the next part. What are the career opportunities after completion of this fellowship? Like कि उनके साइड से कुछ प्लेसमेंट हो, कुछ करियर गाइडेंस हो, आगे के लिए कुछ अपॉर्चुनिटीज हो, ऐसा कुछ आपको बेनिफिट मिलता है?
Yes, yes, definitely. So if you're talking about what are your career opportunities post this fellowship, you can work with NGOs, you can work with research think tanks, you can work with government advisory institutes like the big government advisory organizations like KPMG, PwC, and all of them. And then there are ample opportunities you have after the fellowship. So you are
Okay.
not restricted, because I tell you why, the DRC fellowship is very diverse. So that's how your your options also become very diverse. You work with
बिल्कुल.
foundations, you work with CSR organizations, you work with research think tanks, you work with NGOs, you work with policy schools. So you have ample of opportunities, that is for sure.
तो अक्सा अगर मतलब ये अगेन एप्लीकेंट्स का ही क्वेश्चन है कि आपके साथ जो को फेलोज हैं वो कौन कौन से बैकग्राउंड से हैं एंड उनमें से कोई स्पेसिफिक मेडिकल फील्ड से है क्या?
Yes, yes. Medical, the answer to if I have a fellow or if there is a fellow from medical field, that I will say yes. And now coming back to uh, there was a very
किस
close
किस
fellow
बैकग्राउंड से है?
to me who is from medical background. She was a doctor, and what is the background of the fellows? They come from diverse backgrounds,
Yeah.
from engineers to academicians to public policy people to social work to doctors to all people from all backgrounds, CA, CS, every background. I have DRC have fellows from every background. Now, are they suitable? Yes. Then, upon depending on the projects they have undertaken, so that becomes very crucial. So it's not like you have to work in development sector or you have to have an experience in social work sector in order to get into the ARC fellowship. No, it all depends upon what kind of
Yeah.
projects you have done, and that becomes crucial.
डेफिनेटली. तो गाइज अगर आपको लगता है कि आप किसी और बैकग्राउंड से हैं एंड फेलोशिप का टॉपिक प्रोजेक्ट टॉपिक कुछ और है तो ऐसा कुछ मत सोचो. अगर आपका इंटरेस्ट है इसमें तो बिल्कुल यू शुड अप्लाई फॉर. ओके. तो नेक्स्ट आगे बढ़ते हैं. कुछ बेसिक क्वेश्चंस है आपका लाइक कि आपको इन हैंड स्टाइपेंड कितना मिलता है, इसके साथ ही आपको क्या क्या बेनिफिट्स मिलते हैं एंड लीव्स के बारे में भी थोड़ा बता दीजिए.
Second part, किसके बारे में?
स्टाइपेंड. या स्टाइपेंड what are other benefits and leaves जो आपको vacations या फिर leaves
Okay,
भी
all right.
चाहिए.
So, if you're an associate fellow, you get monthly stipend of 60,000. That
Yeah.
makes your annual CTC as 7.2 lakhs.
Hmm.
And if you're a fellow, then your monthly stipend is 1 lakh, which makes your annual CTC 12 LPA. So this is your CTC or the gross. But in hand you will get amount and from by deducting 10% TDS. So if you're an associate fellow, you will get 54,000 in hand. 6,000 is deducted as a 10% TDS, which you can claim in the ITR every year that people file. So yes, and if you're a fellow, then you get 90,000 in hand, and then 10,000 you can claim in the ITR. So that's how the stipend structure is in the ARC. Now coming to the other perks, there are no other perks. There are absolutely no other perks. No travel allowance, no house allowance, no accommodation allowance, nothing like that. You have to take care of everything yourself. And about the leaves, I think they are maximum 1.5
Okay.
casual and sick both combined per month. So yeah, so that these are the three aspects to it.
Okay. So now come to the next part. जैसे कि कुछ एस्पिरेंट्स होते हैं लाइक कि कोई कॉम्पिटिटिव एग्जाम की प्रिपरेशन कर रहा है, कोई एंट्रेंस एग्जाम की, कोई किसी और ऑनलाइन कोर्स में एंगेज्ड है. तो व्हाट अबाउट देम, लाइक कि अगर उनको ये फेलोशिप ज्वाइन करना है तो उनको कितना स्कोप है कि वो स्टडी कर पाएंगे या फिर कुछ अदर साइड बाय साइड कर पाएंगे.
See, I will tell that it's not that hectic that you cannot work upon yourself. You definitely get a lot of time to work upon yourself. And this depends upon person to person, I would say, Saraswati. किसी को अगर करना ही होगा तो वो हर हाल में कर लेता है ना, और किसी
बिल्कुल.
को नहीं करना होता तो फिर no matter how much facilities you provide a person, they won't do it, right? So, but I will not say that DRC ka schedule is very hectic. You will not find time. No, it will not happen. You will find time for yourself. Then it becomes your decision. Where do you want to spend that time and energy? Do you want to work up on yourself, or do you want to, invest it somewhere else? So yes, if people wants to pursue their academic aspirations, or if they have studies to do, it definitely they can do. That's not an issue. I have not personally faced it. I have worked on a lot of my things like that, the things I decided. So I really have worked a lot on them. I found time. You find time on weekends. You find time after coming to office because you work with closely with the government. So by 5:36, you do get free. Until unless the project requirement is there, then you are there 8, 9.
Okay.
But then mostly fellows get free around that time, and they do have time for themselves. So yeah, but I will say if you're talking about can they join another programs, and they work anywhere else, then it's a no, because anyway it's a legal foundation everywhere that if you're working somewhere, then you work for them for full time, right? So I think it's not a specific to DRC, it's just generally there.
जी. तो वैसे तो एलिजिबिलिटी क्राइटेरिया तो वेबसाइट पे है, बट इसके अलावा लाइक कि आप जैसे कि फेलो है वहाँ पे, तो आपको पता है कि फेलोशिप की डिमांड क्या है, तो उसके हिसाब से आप आंसर करिएगा. तो मैं ये जानना चाहती हूँ कि इस फेलोशिप के लिए मोस्ट सुटेबल कैंडिडेट कौन होगा.
Okay. Where I mean, it depends person to person, but in my thought process, or as I think the most suitable person for this fellowship is someone who has passion
जी.
for policy and different verticals of policy, I would say, or they want to understand how government work and how the policies are formulated, how they're implemented, who are the important stakeholders in the formulation and implementation. uh, how is the impact uh, calculated, and how the governments are held accountable for the implementation, for the successful implementation of it. So I would say a person who have a niche for, or an eye for
Mhm.
that, I think that person will be suitable. Eligibility criteria can vary,
Yeah.
and this suitability can come from any person, even if he or she has not worked in the public policy domain or social sector domain or any of that unrelated sector,
Yeah.
but that comes the niche comes naturally to you, or you develop it. So you have to have that sight as to how things are working. And also very important, something I would want everyone to focus upon is there are two aspects to it, that when you talk about who
Mhm.
is suitable for the program, you have to have a very clear understanding that what do you want to achieve by this fellowship.
Yeah.
Second is, what do you want to do after this fellowship? You have to have some clear idea about this. So you just
Clarity about
not go with a very cloudy vision. I just want to do this fellowship because I want to do this fellowship. You have to have a very clear understanding that I would want to do certain projects, or I want to work on certain things to get what I want. This is what I want to achieve from the fellowship. And after undertaking this, I would want to build my career here, or I want to explore these opportunities. So you have to be clear on these two aspects. Well, I would say that
it.
that creates a suitability aspect for the fellowship.
ओके अक्सा सो द लास्ट क्वेश्चन ऑफ दिस सेशन इज कि आप क्या मैसेज देना चाहोगे जो फ्यूचर एप्लीकेंट्स हैं एंड जो न्यू अपकमिंग बैच है उनको.
Well, uh, I would say just I would say occupy the space you want to occupy, and don't be hesitant. Just occupy the professional space, the opportunities you want to. Do not hesitate. Do not let the obstacles of your experience or your education background come in front of what you want to achieve in your life.
जी.
And do not think that other people are more advanced than me. Yes, they will be professionals, but you are you. So be authentic and be raw. Come as you, who you are. Do not try to copy someone, or do not try to uh, fancy anyone in your mind and
Yeah,
copy
be
what they are
honest.
doing in their interview. So be yourself, I would say.
Yeah.
Let other people know your story, and just come out raw and authentic. That I would say. That should be
ओके.
the approach.
ओके अक्सा, तो अभी एक और क्वेश्चन आया है हमारे पास. वो ये है कि अगर कोई एस्पिरेंट पीएचडी कर रहा है तो पीएचडी करते हुए क्या वो साथ साइड बाय साइड ये डीएआरसी फेलोशिप कर सकता है?
See, I have not pursued PhD, so I do not know what kind of commitment do your PhD
हाँ,
institutes require.
बट कोई को फेलो
So,
करता हो तो मतलब आपके जो
uh,
कलीग्स
I think you can do it, because at the end of the day, it's a research work, and you
हैं.
can do it on your weekends. Research work, anyway, it's independent, right? So you can do it on weekends and hours after your office. So if unless and until it doesn't bother with your work, you definitely can do your independent research. I have fellows who have published their research papers and did independent researches, something they have been interested upon. So that's again, it comes down to where do you want to invest your personal time into. So I'm not too sure about how committed you have to be for pursuing PhD and what are the requirements your institute or your university has. But I think if you can take out time and you have personal time, then you can do your independent researches.
ओके अच्छा, तो अभी तो कोई नया क्वेश्चन नहीं आया है एप्लीकेंट या फिर एस्पिरेंट्स की ओर से. तो आई थिंक हम वाइंड अप कर सकते हैं. अगर इस बीच कुछ क्वेश्चन आया तो मैं ले लूंगी. तो थैंक यू सो मच फॉर कमिंग दिस टॉक शो. शायद और एक क्वेश्चन है, देखते हैं, लेट्स सी. ओके, तो ये क्वेश्चन ये है कि एक एक एप्लीकेंट पूछ रहा है या फिर एक स्टूडेंट है जो ये जानना चाहता है कि उनको इंग्लिश नहीं आती है, इंग्लिश लैंग्वेज नहीं आती, तो क्या वो इस फेलोशिप के लिए अप्लाई कर सकते हैं?
I think मेरा जो आंसर था to your question, what is the message you want to give to the fellows who are coming in the upcoming batch? That question has the answer for this person. Why are you limiting yourself? English बस एक कम्युनिकेशन मीडियम है, ये आपकी इंटेलिजेंस डिफाइन नहीं करता, ये आपकी कैपेबिलिटीज को डिफाइन नहीं करता. So this doesn't matter at all that you आपको इंग्लिश नहीं आती, आपको हिंदी नहीं आती. You know, I have had these questions. Someone texted me on LinkedIn as well that, ma'am, I don't know how to speak Hindi. So will I be eligible for the fellowship? And like, why do you create hurdles for yourself? क्या eligibility criteria में लिखा है कि आपको इंग्लिश आनी बहुत जरूरी है? नहीं. So please do not limit yourself. ठीक है? There have been fellows who have extremely well in Hindi, and we go to them. कि please read out this for us. Please explain this to us.
या
So yes, that happens, and English and Hindi both are, the medium for all the official documents.
लैंग्वेज
So
इज
I
द
think,
ओनली मीडियम.
yeah, वो एक मतलब इस वजह से I think थोड़ा सा लैंग्वेज का चीज है, but they are equal, क्योंकि आपके सारे ऑफिशियल डॉक्यूमेंट्स इंग्लिश में भी होते हैं और हिंदी में भी होते हैं. अगर आपको इंग्लिश में नहीं पढ़ना तो आप उनको हिंदी में पढ़ लीजिए. देयर इज ऑलवेज टू वर्जन्स अवेलेबल, एंड इतना डिफिकल्ट इंग्लिश लैंग्वेज यूज नहीं होता है इस फेलोशिप में जो आपको लग रहा है कि यू नीड अ वेरी प्रोफाउंड इंग्लिश. So it's okay if you are basic with it. It's just a language, not an intelligence criteria at all.
ओके, तो आई थिंक वी शुड वाइंड अप. तो थैंक यू सो मच अक्सा फॉर कमिंग दिस शो. वैसे तो हमने सारे क्वेश्चंस कवर किए हैं, बट और हाँ, एप्लीकेशंस चल रहे हैं. इसकी लास्ट डेट है 10 अगस्त, राइट? 10 अगस्त ही है ना अक्सा?
Sure, sure, sure. Yes,
या,
yes.
या. तो
Stand
हमने
up.
क्वेश्चंस तो सारे कवर किए हैं. अगर फिर भी आपको कुछ क्वेश्चन है तो आप कमेंट बॉक्स में लिखिए, हम उसका आंसर करने की पूरी कोशिश करेंगे. अगर आप अक्सा से या फिर मुझसे पर्सनली जुड़ना चाहते हैं तो उसके लिंक हमने कमेंट बॉक्स में या फिर डिस्क्रिप्शन बॉक्स में दिए हुए हैं. उसके साथ ही आप अलग अलग फेलोशिप के लिए अप्लाई कर रहे हैं, आपको गाइडेंस की जरूरत है, तो स्टेप अहेड फ्री मेंटरशिप जो प्रोवाइड करता है आपको. तो अगर आप हमारे ग्रुप से जुड़ना चाहते हैं, टेलीग्राम ग्रुप या फिर व्हाट्सएप ग्रुप का लिंक आपको डिस्क्रिप्शन बॉक्स में मिल जाएगा. थैंक यू सो मच. थैंक यू अक्सा. एंड आप सभी को थैंक यू सो मच इस सेशन में जुड़ने के लिए. थैंक यू.
All the best, everyone, whoever is applying for the fellowship.